Hello there, curious minds. 3 months, 3 iterations. And today, Alibaba just put a model on the leaderboard that changes the entire conversation about Chinese AI. Qwen 3.7-Max, the new flagship from Alibaba's Qwen team, is now the #1 Chinese model on LMSYS Arena. It's beating Kimi K2.6, DeepSeek, V4, Pro, and GLM-5.1. And it's closing in on the very best from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. But here's the thing. This isn't a chat model. It was built for something entirely different. Qwen 3.7-Max was announced today at the 2026 Alibaba Cloud Summit in Hangzhou. Alibaba described it as the most comprehensive and powerful agentic model Qwen has ever built. And that word, agentic, is the key. This isn't just another incremental upgrade to a language model. Qwen 3.7-Max was designed from the ground up to be what Alibaba calls a full-ability agentic base model. That means it's optimized for code writing and debugging, workflow automation, and, most impressively, long-horizon autonomous tasks that span hundreds, even thousands of steps. Think about that. Projects that previously required a professional team working for 1 to 2 weeks can now be handled by a Qwen 3.7-Max-driven agent, running autonomously with continuous self-correction and version iteration. The model is closed-weight, not open source, and will be available via API through Alibaba Cloud's Balian platform. Alongside it, Alibaba also announced Qwen 3.7 Plus Preview, a companion model designed to cover broader use cases, from coding agents to vision tasks. Now, let's talk about the numbers, because this is where the story gets interesting. Qwen 3.7-Max appeared on LMSYS Chatbot Arena just 2 days before the official announcement, under the name Qwen 3.7-Max Preview. And it didn't just show up, it dominated. On the Arena blind evaluation, Qwen 3.7-Max surpassed every other Chinese model. Kimi K2.6, DeepSeek, V4, Pro, and GLM-5.1. It's now positioned close to the top-tier models from GPT, Claude, and Gemini. Alibaba is now the #6 lab in text and #5 in vision on the global Arena leaderboard. To put this in context, Qwen 3.6-Max was already a formidable coding model. It topped 6 coding benchmarks when we covered it in Video 8. But 3.7-Max represents a generational leap. The gap between 3.6 and 3.7 isn't just incremental improvement. It's a fundamental shift in how the model approaches complex, multi-step tasks. And the iteration speed is remarkable. 3 major versions in 3 months, 3.5, 3.6, and now 3.7. That's an acceleration that rivals the fastest development cycles we've seen from any lab, Chinese or Western. What's particularly telling is how Qwen 3.7-Max achieves these results. It's not just about raw parameter count or training data. The model is specifically optimized for agentic workflows, meaning it's been trained to plan, execute tool calls, evaluate results, and iterate. Thousands of tool calls across dozens of version iterations, with continuous self-improvement baked into the architecture. So what does agentic-first actually mean in practice? Let me break it down. First, long-horizon task execution. Qwen 3.7-Max is designed to maintain context and purpose across hundreds to thousands of autonomous steps. Most models start to drift or lose coherence after 50 to 100 tool calls. Qwen 3.7-Max is engineered to keep going, planning, executing, evaluating, and iterating until the task is complete. Second, native integration with agent frameworks. The model works seamlessly with Claude Code, OpenClaw, and Qwen Code, 3 of the most popular agentic frameworks we've covered on this channel. This isn't an afterthought. It's a deliberate design choice. Alibaba knows that the future of AI isn't just about chat. It's about agents that can actually do things. And third, this is the one that caught my attention. Autonomous quality improvement. The model doesn't just execute tasks, it iterates on its own output. Dozens of version iterations continuously improving delivery quality. That means if you ask it to build a web application, it won't just give you a first draft. It'll refine, test, and improve it across multiple passes. Now, I should note something important here. Qwen 3.7-Max is a closed-weight model. Unlike Qwen 3.6 Code S open-weight variants, the 27 billion and 35 billion models that you could download and run locally, 3.7-Max and 3.7 Plus are API only. You'll access them through Alibaba Cloud's Bailian platform. The API is coming soon. No specific date yet, but given the announcement cadence, I'd expect it within weeks. The companion model, Qwen 3.7 Plus Preview, is positioned as covering broader use cases from coding agents to vision agents. Details are still emerging, but the pattern suggests Plus will be the more generalist model, while Max is the heavy lifter for complex long-horizon agentic tasks. Now, before you think this is just another benchmark chase, let me tell you why this actually matters for your workflow. Because the model that wins Arena isn't necessarily the model that wins in practice. But Qwen 3.7-Max isn't just winning benchmarks, it's being built specifically for the tools you're already using. Let's zoom out for a moment, because Qwen 3.7-Max doesn't exist in a vacuum. We are living through the most intense period of model competition in AI history. In the past month alone, we've seen Google launch Gemini 3.5 Flash. At I.O., Cursor released Composer 2.5, with SpaceX backing, and Anthropic continue pushing Claude Opus 4.7 to the top of coding benchmarks. And now Qwen 3.7-Max enters the arena, literally, as the strongest Chinese model ever tested. The narrative that there's a single best model is dead. What we have instead is a landscape where different models excel at different things. Claude leads in coding agent reliability. GPT-5. 5 dominates terminal work and omni-modality. Gemini 3.5 Flash brings frontier intelligence at a fraction of the cost. And Qwen 3.7-Max, it's the agentic workhorse, optimized for long, complex, multi-step tasks that require sustained attention and self-correction. The fact that a Chinese lab is now competitive with the absolute frontier and iterating at this pace is significant. It means the gap is closing. It means competition is driving innovation faster than any single lab could alone. And it means that whatever workflow you're building, you now have more options than ever. Here's what I'm watching: the API pricing. Qwen has historically been aggressive on cost. If 3.7-Max comes in at a competitive price point on Bailian, it could become the default agentic base model for teams that need long-horizon execution without the premium pricing of Western alternatives. So, who should care about Qwen 3.7-Max? If you're building agentic workflows, especially long-running ones that involve hundreds of tool calls, this model should be on your radar. The integration with Claude Code, OpenClaw, and Qwen Code means you can plug it into frameworks you're already using. If you're a developer working with Chinese language content or operating in Asian markets, Qwen has always had a natural advantage. 3.7-Max extends that advantage into agentic capabilities. And if you're just watching the model wars from the sidelines, this is a signal. The pace of iteration is accelerating. 3 versions in 3 months. The gap between labs is narrowing. The models that were good enough 6 months ago are already being outpaced. What to watch for next? API availability on Bailian. Expect it within weeks. Qwen 3.7 Plus details the companion model's capabilities and pricing. Open-weight variants, will Alibaba release smaller, downloadable versions like they did with 3.6? And real-world agentic benchmarks. Arena measures chat quality, but agentic-specific benchmarks are the next frontier. Qwen 3.7-Max is a significant release, not because it's the absolute best model in every category. It isn't. But because it represents a focused, deliberate push into agentic AI from a lab that's iterating faster than almost anyone else. 3 months, 3 versions, and now a model that sits at the frontier. If this pace continues, the next Qwen release might not just be number 1 for Chinese models. It might be number 1, period. I'll be tracking the API launch and testing 3.7-Max in agentic workflows as soon as it's available. Full results will be in a follow-up video. If this breakdown helped you understand where Qwen 3.7-Max fits in the model landscape, consider subscribing. I'm keeping my ears perked for the API launch, and you'll be the first to know when I've tested it. Until next time, curious minds. I'll see you in the next one.